Hello, children of YouTube, and welcome back to the anime season in review for spring 2016. This is part 2. We uploaded part 1 yesterday. As usual, my name is Coolidger, and today I am joined by Mozilla Fennekin, the #1 self-proclaimed Fennekin fan on the internet, also known as Lux. Welcome back, Lux.
Toot-tooroo, motherfuckers.
Haha. We've also got our friend Takai joining us. You guys know him from YouTube, among many other things, I'm sure. Takai, how's it going, friend?
Heyo, what's going on?
Good to have you back again today.
Thank you.
As usual, I'm going to put out a spoiler warning here. We will be talking about the anime of spring 2016. We'll be talking about the other 8 series that we didn't talk about last time. We'll try and keep the plot details kind of light, but we may go into some things because it's kind of hard to talk about certain series without actually talking about their plot. So if you have not seen a certain series, there will be annotations at the in this video, as well as time skips in the description below. So if you want to skip to a particular series that you have seen, you can go ahead and click on one of those. The other thing I'm going to note is that we won't be doing series that have not finished airing in spring. So this includes things like Re:Zero, Ace Attorney, Twin Star Exorcists, and the 4th season of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. So if you want to see our reviews on those, chances are we'll be covering them whenever they air. Some of them that'll probably be for the summer podcast, so be sure to keep an eye out for that. Without further ado, we'll go ahead and jump into the series there. We're going to start off this time around by doing Kiznaiver from Studio Trigger. So Lux will tell us a little bit about what Kiznaiver is.
Yeah, Kiznaiver is as you said, it's the newest anime from Studio Trigger. It's their first one since Kill la Kill, actually. So a lot of hype surrounding this one. And they went for a little bit of a different approach by making something more melodramatic, something more moody. Because this is about sharing wounds. Everyone is linked to the system, so that if one person gets hurt, then that pain is reduced a little bit, and then it's spread out to 6 other people. So they play a lot on this. It ends up being more about connecting emotions specifically. So there's a lot of there's a lot of drama. There's a lot of character interactions and relationships and falling out, and it's all about that sort of thing. I don't know what else to say, but that's basically the setup of it. So the characters in here, the main character is this really silent and kind of quiet guy, and hang on, shit.
No worries.
Yeah.
I kind of look at this. Oh, go ahead.
No, you're good.
All right. For me, this was, it started off really well, so I kind of looked at this as, the erased of the series, or the, season once I finished it, not plot-wise, but mostly just kind of how it went-wise, in that I thought this anime got off to a pretty strong start for about 8 episodes, but then the last 4 episodes felt a little rushed, because I felt like they were trying to wrap it up, because they realized that they weren't getting a second core in a second season, and I mean, that's the problem with some dramas like these, is that they do feel a little rushed because it can be hard to fully flesh out everything you want to do in a 12-episode plot. I don't think it quite fell off as hard as Erased did in the last 4 episodes. At the same time, I also don't think it got to the highs that Erased did in its first 8. But yeah, kind of similar in that sense. As far as what it's actually reminded me of, I don't know if you guys have ever seen Nagi no Asakura, which is the one about the sea people and the land people, but it kind of reminded me of that, because basically you have 7 characters, and every character ends up liking another character, sort of thing. So you can imagine the kind of melodrama that would create.
Yeah.
When your crush likes your friend who likes your friend, and you got that weird kind of spiderweb thing going, because it's not really a love circle. It's more like a love, I don't know what has 7 sides, but,
hexagram.
Yeah, some sort of shape that we haven't invented yet.
Yeah.
I think the concept's really interesting. The whole linking people by pain, because Trigger is kind of known for taking a concept it's either something that's commonplace in anime that we've come to accept, or just an overall general concept, and then basing an entire anime off that. And this one, they kind of take the concept of you can't really understand someone until you felt their pain. They take that concept and then they take it very literally, and that's pretty much what the whole show revolves around, in that you can't really understand someone until you've been into their shoes, until you've kind of felt the pain that they felt, because that's basically sympathy, right? So I kind of like how it took that approach in it.
I kind of thought...
The character...
No, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay.
The character designs were really good. Like, the characters themselves were interesting at their core, but the actual, like, development of some of these characters were kind of lacking, admittedly. That's just the byproduct of having a 12-episode anime. I think the only one who really got development that I liked was the glasses girl.
Honoka, yeah.
Yeah, Honoka. That's her name. Yeah, she had a really good arc in the middle there that I thought was one of the high points of the series. But then, like, the actual character development from that point on was kind of lacking.
That's definitely what could have been helped if it had 24 episodes, because I also got worried when I saw that this was only getting 12 episodes. The other thing is that I wanted to say about the concept is that I actually thought the concept was like really kind of dumb. It's really cheesy how it's about connecting people, I guess. But I really love how they sell it to you. They just keep acclimating the audience so they can accept the bigger parts of it. Like, there's connecting pain, so that's kind of weird. Then it's about connecting emotions, and that's really weird. And then it's about the voice of the heart, and that's just like the cheesiest thing ever. But since we're giving it to us gradually, we don't really hear about that until the middle of the series. So it's kind of easy to accept from then on. Most shows will like just give you the concept and then straight out the bat and see how much they can do with it in 12 episodes, but this one just gives it to you gradually, and I really like that.
Yeah. I think the writing definitely carries this show, too. The dialogue is very well written and very believable, even if the plot itself was kind of bullshit at times. Takai, did you end up seeing this one?
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
Well, coming from Studio Trigger, you know it was going to look good. And
yes.
It did. You know, I really enjoy their artwork, from Kill la Kill to Little Witch Academia, you know, and so on, and Luluco and everything. I just love the way they animate things. It just looks fantastic. And as for the show itself, I believe I gave it a 7. I liked it. I liked the concept. I like the idea of literally putting them together. I think Cool did a good job explaining what it was all about. And I do think, however, that, I mean, it only had a small handful of characters. There was only about 6 or 7. But there was still, unfortunately, a unbalanced, like, how do I want to put it? The character development for the show was unbalanced to me. I feel like more characters got more development than others. Like, for example, the guy that liked getting hurt and Nico. I feel like they did not get enough character development. I feel like they were just there for the laughs.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes they weren't. Sometimes they were important to the plot. But other times I just kind of sat there like, all right, we've seen enough of this Magi crap. Can we get to another character or something? You know, I liked all the character designs. I thought they were all really well done. And it was a good show. Definitely not something that was Trigger's best, but something that I enjoyed. But it's probably something I'm not gonna hop back on and want to see it again anytime soon. Maybe in the future, especially if it gets a dub from whoever the hell decides to license it. But
yeah,
I think it's Aniplex.
Oh, really? Okay.
Then you know it's gonna be $150.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
So it was good. But yeah, just good.
I want to see what.
I think I would probably give the recommendation of try it rather than like dive right into it. It is something that was kind of interesting, and I liked it for a bit, and it did kind of trail off at the end. But overall, I thought it was a fairly good anime with like well distinct and really well designed characters. Each character definitely had their own look and their own feel, and that also comes through in the animation. That is Trigger at their best. The animation was definitely one of the strong points. And I do like that it always focused on what it was doing. It always focused on the group. There was no like external, it wasn't trying to do something else. It was like, no, we're about these 7 characters, and we're going to focus our plot the entire time on these 7 characters. There was never anything that like didn't include any of those characters, and I was fine with that. And overall, I think it was a good show. I think I gave it a 6 out of 10, but I'm also kind of harsh with ratings sometimes. But I did not think it was a great show.
Well, we can't forget that it's got the opening of the season.
Very interesting opening. Yeah,
I love the opening.
Very unconventional, but it was so good looking.
Yeah,
And good sounding. I
beautiful.
just love the song.
I agree. I don't even like Boom Boom Satellites. I think a lot of their music sucks, but that song was good.
Yeah, I listened to a number of the other songs on the album that was included with Lay Your Hands on Me, and everything else was not very good.
Yeah.
I hate to say.
It's kind of a shame because this is actually the band's last song.
It is, yeah.
Oh.
I heard about that. Because I think the lead singer is like got an illness or something.
Yeah.
That sucks.
The ending was good as well. I liked the ending, and the ending was actually a little bit deeper because it used flower language for it, which adds like another layer of depth to it. It was nice.
Yeah.
I think the whole anime was just really well produced. The music is amazing, I thought, and the directing is actually really good. It's by this guy Hiroshi Kobayashi. He's never directed anything else before. I mean, he's done a lot of animation work, especially with Kill la Kill, but this is his first actual directorial role, and I think he did a really good job. It's a lot of great shots, a lot of telling images.
Yeah.
Does anyone have anything else they want to add for Kiznaiver then? Final thoughts on the show?
Just to try it.
I'd say try it too.
I liked it, but I can definitely understand why people wouldn't like it. Because all the melodrama.
Alright, so we'll move on from Kiznaiver to probably one of the most talked about shows of the season, for better or worse. Most of the time for worse, honestly. I mean, it wasn't terrible, but we're going to talk about Kabaneri of the Iron Fortress by Wit Studio. Also known for doing Attack on Titan and Seraph of the End, both of which are pretty much rehashes, or rather, I should say, this is a rehash of Attack on Titan. Tell me if this premise sounds familiar. So basically, we start off, humanity is kind of pushed to, at this point, they're being pushed to the brink of extinction by, in this case, it's zombies and not titans or vampires. The zombies are called Kabaneri, I think is what they were. And so the people have kind of like closed themselves off from this dangerous open world by like locking themselves in these kind of walled off stations, is what they're called in this, which are, you basically travel through station to station by a steampunk train. Again, very similar setup to Attack on Titan. It's just we're in stations and we have trains now instead of, wall cities and whatnot. The first episode starts off similar. We all know the zombies were going to infiltrate. The zombies get into the city. I think they got in because some of the crew members of the train ended up getting bitten and becoming zombies somewhere along the line. And so they get in and they end up killing a bunch of people. And the people who manage to survive kind of like, panic and try to escape and move on to the next city. So they all board the train and they have to go to one of the more safer cities. And that's pretty much the setup. And yeah, our main character is a guy named Ikuma. He creates this weapon that he believes can fight back against these zombies that has a lot of kick to it. I guess he uses some steam mechanics for it. And then he goes out of his way to lure a zombie to his location. And he does end up fighting the thing off, but not before being bitten on the arm and getting the virus himself. And then through some weird scene, he just kind of stops the virus from spreading to his brain by essentially hanging himself by a noose and just strangling himself tight enough that the virus will not spread past his neck, which in reality would probably just suffocate him to the point of fainting, and then the virus would spread anyway. But anime is never realistic, so let's not go there anyway. And yeah, that's basically the plot. I said this during my description, but it is essentially a rehash of Attack on Titan and Seraph of the End. So if you've seen those before, this is in a similar boat, but also worse than both of those, which is kind of sad, in all honesty. I think it started off well, and I think like the premise was really cool. Like I love the steampunk setting of this. Mm-hmm. It had this kind of like, it was set in like a medieval Japan, but it was literally steampunk. There was like a lot of steam trains, a lot of their weapons use steam. I liked a lot of the costumes and the character designs, and like I think the first 2 episodes were good. But here's how I picture myself watching Kabaneri of the Iron Train. So I'm going to use train puns, all right? This is going to be really stupid. Get ready for this. So I get on the hype train, right? And I'm on the hype train for the first 2 episodes, and I'm like, okay, I mean, this is kind of, I've seen this before, but this is decent production. I'm okay with this. I'm on the hype train now. And then like somewhere along the line, like halfway through episode 3, this mischievous kid gets on the train tracks and he pulls the little lever that switches the train's tracks. And so now we're going down different tracks. Now we're going down the tracks that we didn't want to be on. And at this point, we're not going too fast. I could jump off here and probably be fine because the train's going slow enough. But I'm like, you know what? It's not a train wreck yet. I'm going to stay on this train and maybe it'll lead me to a better place. And then the train goes faster and faster. And now we're going way too fast down these wrong tracks. And there's no way to get off anymore. Yeah, that's pretty much the entire Kabaneri of the Iron Fortress and how I pictured watching it.
Would Mume be that mischievous child? Because Mume ruined a lot of shit.
Oh my god.
Mume was a fucking idiot.
Most of the character and designs were not terrible, but there was two characters in particular that are some of the worst written characters I've ever seen in an anime. Mume in particular was absolutely atrocious. She had this thing where she just I call her bipolar Jan because that's essentially, she could not make up her mind about anything, and she switched her, not only her opinion but her entire character back and forth. I'm okay with character archetypes, but god damn it, Wit Studio, at least pick one. She fucking switched character archetypes at the drop of a hat mid-scene. One minute she's bestie with the main character, the next she's having doubts about who she can trust and doing something that puts everyone in danger, and I can't even say anything good about her.
Unless your name is Ikuma, she'll just listen to anything anyone says. She meets a guy who looks like Solid Snake partway through, and he's like, hey, I know some really vague conspiracy stuff. You better watch your back. Okay, I guess I'm just going to act like a bitch to everybody. And then, goes up to a kid whose dog just died, and she's like, your dog died because he fucking sucks at life. And it's what the hell's wrong with you? Calm down.
I mean, for a character who, through the first bit of it was trying so hard to earn the trust of all these humans, she does so much to fuck that up at every turn. Every opportunity she gets, she's like, yeah, this sounds like a great idea. And everybody else is like, no, we shouldn't do that. That's going to put us in danger. And of course, she does it anyway. It's like a teenage kid who's growing up and just cannot listen to, the opinion of majority.
Hey, guys, I need blood. That's what I eat. Just give me blood. She just plays that off like it's the most normal thing to ask for.
Yeah.
But, yeah, this show just definitely went off the rails in every sense of the word. They, one of the best things about it, as you said, was the setting and all the steampunk technology. And there's a really good foundation laid out for this series. But then they just keep amping everything up. Everything gets so crazy, the Kabaneri, the special human zombie hybrids. There's one that fires a freaking laser, and that just at that moment I'm just like, oh my god, you ruined everything about the setting and how much everything just worked. But since they added superpowers, it's gone. You killed it. You ruined it.
Takai, did you end up seeing this one?
I would have if it would have been on Crunchyroll, but it was on Amazon, and I used to download all my anime, just torrent it, but around a year and a half ago, I started just doing it Crunchyroll, just to support the industry. But I saw bits and pieces of clips and whatnot. I like a lot of the 90s character design, so I think that was kind of a really cool aspect of it. But man, it really does look like just another take on Attack on Titan, because I mean, really, Attack on Titan is just zombies again, but they're just a lot bigger. Yeah, at least in my opinion. And I never liked Attack on Titan, so I figured I probably wouldn't like this one either. So that's kind of why I didn't watch it. But from what I kind of hear, it just sounds like I didn't really miss much.
No, if you didn't like Attack on Titan, this one is much worse, and the writing goes off the hill by episode 6 or 7. They end up getting to the point of no return.
It has the same writer as Guilty Crown, if that makes any sense.
I thought Guilty Crown was okay until the ending, told everybody to go fuck themselves. So.
It's not as confusing as Guilty Crown, at least.
I will say this. I'll give the series Hiroyuki Sawano. He's known for a lot of great OSTs over the years. In particular, both of the series that I compared this one to already, Attack on Titan and Seraph of the End. And he's got that style that we kind of like have come to expect from him. And I think this may have actually been his best work, honestly. Like, I think the soundtrack for this one was really solid, both like in the epic pieces that you would expect from him, but also kind of the build-up pieces that he kind of lacked in some of his earlier works. I thought those were a lot better this time around. I thought this might have been his most complete soundtrack, and honestly kind of saved the series from having very few redeeming features. The soundtrack alone kind of makes it worth it to just at least sit through and do something else.
I didn't really think much of it, because to me it just sounded like every other soundtrack he's done, which in no way is a bad thing. I mean, I think he's a great composer, but it's like, so I mean, it was good, but it didn't really stand out to me too much, at least in comparison to his other works.
Yeah, at this point, he kind of has his style that we've come to know him for, so it's a little harder to kind of like stand out if you're going to keep using that style. But I did think this was a very solid like overall soundtrack. And yeah, the other thing that completely bugs me is like the series kind of like establishes these logics and then throws them out the window, which is something I always hate when an anime does. For example, and I'm going to spoil something very heavy here, so if you actually want to watch it, skip this part, or I apologize. But near the end of the series, he gets this like super pill, and it basically is like, yeah, it's going to take your Kabaneri self and, you know, in normal anime fashion is going to make you an overpowered main character because you've pretty much been a shit MC for 10 episodes. Here you go. This is a pill. The catch is that it's going to kill you in a couple hours after using it. I don't think they specified a couple hours. Basically, they said it would kill him shortly after he finished on his little rampage. And then they had like one antidote, and they were like, you can use this on yourself and save yourself, or you can use this on Mube, who's currently rampaging and turning into like this uncontrollable monster, and save her. And he's like, okay. So he goes nuts, and he kills like the main villain's entire army, stops a train with a laser beam because apparently zombies can shoot laser beams by this point. He starts using like Jedi mind tricks to throw shit around because I don't know. And then by the end of it, he has that antidote, and he goes up and, you know, predictably uses it on Mume. And then he passes out, and for a minute there, like, there's literally a minute left in the episode by this point, where they kind of, like, rush to wrap everything up. And by, like, the very last scene of the episode is basically him opening his eyes and being okay anyway without any explanation, because, you know, the virus can't kill the main character. That wouldn't be a happy ending, now would it? It kind of just threw whatever logic they tried to establish out, and we're like, yeah, no, we're going to keep things going for plot convenience. It's cool.
I don't know. Maybe they're setting up for a second season. I
hope not.
No idea. I don't even know how they'll continue it, because they, like, destroyed everything. I mean, when you think about it, it's not that happy of an ending. I guess everyone survived, but you just destroyed, like, the main capital. Like, all this awesome shit is gone.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, the series is willing to kill characters. On the other hand, the series is not willing to kill anyone with a name unless it's Biba.
Yeah.
Because, yeah.
Going that Attack on Titan route. Only the less.
It's Attack on Titan without the character death. It's basically, yeah, we're going to try and look serious, and, like, we're not afraid to kill people, but the only people we're going to kill are, like, the no-name citizens who serve no purpose whatsoever anyway. And it's like, whatever then. How am I going to, like, feel threatened or serious when anything like this is happening if you're not, like, if you're going to try to establish that these are, like, deadly villains and then play them off as, like, fodder the next couple episodes and that, like, nobody is capable of dying. It just takes away from the significance of a series.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we'll jump into the next one. I think we've got Magi next. Studio Leidus. This is the third season of Magi, technically, but it's more of a prequel than a third season. The full title of this one is Magi: The Adventures of Sinbad, which, as you can guess, is a prequel that follows Sinbad and his adventures as he kind of gathers his generals. Neither of you have seen this one, right?
I know nothing about Magi.
Okay.
Neither do I.
I'll try to explain it for anyone who watched this one to the best of my ability. To be fair, I have not completely finished it. It is one of the two things that I was not able to finish in time for this, so I apologize in advance. I've seen 8 episodes, which in reality is they ended up using the OVAs again. So if you've seen the Adventures of Sinbad OVAs that came out like sometime between this season and the second season, They essentially go episode 1 is new material, episode 2 to 6 are basically the OVAs again, but just kind of they reanimated a few things, but they also had to shorten it because the OVAs were a little longer, so they took out a couple of scenes, some of which made it for very awkward scenes. In particular, there's a scene where he's basically like fighting against a princess. The princess goes to call him out, and then he fights against her. He ends up cutting the bra straps for her armor, which of course creates some fan service, and then kidnaps her and takes her on a boat so that the guards won't chase him. And when he's far enough away from the shore that they can't chase him down anymore, but also close enough that they can retrieve the princess, he ends up leaving her in a barrel, mostly naked, out in the middle of the sea. The OVAs depicted like this full scene. The actual show, for some reason, did this weird skip thingy where like you're suddenly seeing them fighting, and then the bra straps are cut, and the next thing you know, they're out to sea, and he just kind of throws her in a barrel and throws her in a barrel and throws her out to sea. And if I had not seen the OVAs, I would have been completely confused at what the hell was going on. But that's kind of what happens when you have less time to work on things. As far as what the series is, it's basically we follow Sinbad. When he was, I think he was around 14 when the series is taking place, and it's about him meeting most of his generals for the first time. If you've ever seen the actual first 2 seasons of Magi, which I would definitely recommend because they are quite good, I think, he's basically meeting up with a lot of his generals. It's kind of how they came together and came to follow him and came to like his king-like qualities. It also follows a lot of his early dungeon capturing adventures, because if you've seen Magi, you know he is the guy who has captured the most dungeons in the world, and so it depicts a couple of the early dungeons there as well. All in all, again, I haven't finished it yet. I don't think it's quite to the quality story-wise as the first 2 seasons of Magi. Admittedly, it's a little harder because they kind of have more limitations on where they can go story-wise because it's a prequel, but I'm not enjoying it quite as much as I did Magi, both from a story and a humor perspective. That said, like it's still quite a good series, and it's probably just me. I'm not saying it's a bad series. I'm just saying like I kind of had my expectations probably a little too high. That said, yeah, that's basically the best I can do for it. It is kind of fast pacing, especially the first couple episodes, because the first episode in particular depicts like from when he was a child to when he was 14, and does feel a little bit rushed and predictable. But yeah, what I've seen so far, it's pretty good. If you like Magi, it's something I'd recommend, and it basically just adds more to the lore of that entire universe, it's good because Magi, I think, was a show that kind of needed to depict its side characters a little more, and to get an entire show that focuses on nothing but side characters is a nice touch. And yeah, that basically sums it up. So going from Magi, one show that is focusing on side characters, to another show that has way too many side characters, we're going to talk about Mayoiga now.
Yeah, so Mayoiga is about 30 Redditors who get on a bus and travel to the middle of bumfuck nowhere so they can live in an uncharted village and assimilate into the society that inhabits it, because they all hate themselves and society for whatever reason, and they want to start new lives, basically. So they get to the village only to find that it's completely deserted. And then stranger things happen. Some of them start getting attacked by these really weird CG monsters that represent their mental stress. So, like a character whose backstory is that she got attacked by bees, she gets chased by a giant bee. It has various degrees of seriousness, and yeah, everyone goes crazy. The whole show is chaotic. It doesn't really know what's doing or where it's going to go. I can't really tell you what happened half the time. Because, like you said, there are 30 characters, and when everyone's trying to talk, it's just like, what is going on? And it only has 12 episodes, which is even worse, so don't expect a whole lot to get wrapped. I mean, they try wrapping up the whole story in 12 episodes, but it's just like, okay? Like, that's it, I guess. It's a very weird ending.
I'm not sure whose idea it was to put 30 characters into a 12-episode anime. I've seen some 12-episode animes that, like, fail to flesh out 7 or 8 characters. Who the fuck thought this was going to work is beyond me.
Yeah, like, the first episode the first 5 minutes is just spent on character intros. They're all riding this bus, and they each take turns giving their intro. They say their name, and then like 2 things about themselves. And I'm just like, it goes on and on and on. And I'm just like, oh my god, what is this? Like, how is this happening? I really had low expectations the whole way through, and wasn't very satisfied with it in the end.
Yeah.
And a lot of the characters, since there were so many characters, a lot of them are very, very gimmicky and one note. Like, this is the fat guy. He likes eating. All of his dialogue is about eating. The end.
Predictable.
Yep.
Yeah, I get that. Also, like, one thing I've noticed, and I've only gone about halfway through this one. This is the other one I couldn't finish, so sorry. But none of the characters seem to have any sanity. Like, I don't know if I'm entertained or just weeded out, but like, so many characters are just, some of the things they say aren't even remotely realistic, and I have to do a double take. Like, who the fuck says that? There's one character in particular who is like obsessed with executions for some reason. Every time someone kind of like remotely fucks up, she's like, yeah, we should execute him. And I'm just like wondering how the fuck she has not ended up in prison for the first however many years of her life, because there's no way.
To be fair, I actually liked it when it got insane like that. I mean, as you said, that girl's name is Love Pond. She's the best. Like, eventually, I mean, for a while I wasn't that on board with her, but then she just got crazier and crazier, and I'm just like, this is great. This girl's great. I loved her. But if it maintained that level of like craziness or insanity the whole time, then maybe this would have been a lot more interesting. But I don't know. It half tried taking itself seriously. There was a big argument saying that, like, oh no, that the show knows what it's doing. It's all intentionally comedic and everything. And I'm just like, yeah. I don't get it.
I think that's probably one of the most interesting things about this show, is that there is actually like an argument among the community right now as to whether it's like a serious horror anime or whether it's a comedy. And yeah. I think like it's in a way like the show depicts itself to be this serious horror, but I think like halfway along the way, the directors and the writers kind of realized that nobody was taking it seriously because the dialogue was so all over the place, and they kind of just continued to go down that route further just to see how stupid they could get. It's almost like it's trying to be unintentionally intentionally funny, if that makes sense. That's kind of the term someone used to describe it once. I'm not sure how much I'd agree with them doing this intentionally. I think it's just actually that bad. But at the very least, it's entertainingly bad. So, you won't be bored. I'm mostly just confused, but I'm not bored watching this.
Yeah, that's a good point. Really interesting director, too. He's done so many crazy things.
He's the guy who directed Another, right?
Another, Shirobako, Girls in Panzer, just all sorts of things. Prison School, that's a big one.
Yeah, because the style of this at times reminds me of Another, except they don't end up killing any of the characters off, which is kind of disappointing, because I would have been okay if they had like introduced these 30 characters and then made it like Another, where like every couple episodes they just kill a couple characters off.
That's what I thought they were doing. I
would have been entertained. Yeah, I think that's what I was kind of expecting from them, but then it just sounds like they didn't actually kill anyone. They just kind of were all there.
Yeah. It's just like, okay, so they're all going to live in this society. Well, that's not going to work at all. Someone's like going to be a crazy murderer, and I thought it was just going to be this big murder mystery, like a big game of Town of Salem. But no, it's about CG monsters. Oh.
Weird.
Yeah, the classic.
Takai, do you have any thoughts on this one?
No, I actually never got to watch it, so that's 3 strikes. I'm out. That's the 3rd show in a row. No, I read the description at the beginning of the season, and at first I thought, I'm like, maybe this is interesting. Maybe I should give it a watch, but I never bit. I just kind of, I thought it was going to be something interesting, but then I heard it was horror, and I'm not a big fan of the horror genre, especially with anime.
With anime, yeah.
Yeah, so I never got around to watching it, so, and I doubt I will, especially hearing about what you guys have to say about it. So
Horror is really hard to pull off in anime too. Like there are very few successful pure horror mystery type anime. I cited another I kind of enjoyed more than most, but admittedly even that one was kind of harsh when it came to reviews. I think one of the few horrors that I could think of that actually did well would probably be Higurashi, and that's it's hard for a show to kind of follow that up.
I don't want to see kawaii anime girls die.
That's a whole other story, man. We could sit here and talk about Higurashi for a while. But let's move on to some of the lighter shows. I think we have a couple comedies to kind of wrap this podcast up. We do. 3 or 4 in a row, actually. Yeah. So on from the unintentional comedies to the actual intentional comedies. First one we're going to do is Netoge, which is from a studio I had never actually heard of, Project Number 9, which kind of just sounds like Mighty Number 9. Entirely different subject. So basically the setup for Netoge is we have our main character whose name is Hideki, but most of the time people just call him Rusian because that's his in-game avatar name. And yes, you can guess that this is an MMO type based setting that we've all come to expect from an anime and a season. So anyway, it starts off, we get Rusian who's playing his MMO, and he ends up working up the courage to ask out this girl. The girl rejects him and then basically tells him that she's actually a trap. She's an older gentleman from somewhere else in the world and whatnot, and this devastates our main character because, you know, he thought he was talking to a cute girl, and cute girls apparently don't exist online. Old internet jokes. That's basically this series. This series takes a lot of like old internet jokes and then just kind of like puts them in the anime. It's literally called And You Thought There Was Never a Girl Online. We're just calling it Netoge because that's shorter. Anywho, so he confesses to her. She says she's an older guy. That kind of devastates him. He goes solo for like a year, and then he ends up joining a guild. There's 3 other people in the guild. There's a girl who quickly falls in love with him because he gave her a basic tutorial. I don't know.
10 out of 10.
Like, yeah, right? Then there's like 2 other guys in the guild. And one day they're like having a meeting at their usual pub in the game, and then one of them mentions to have like an offline meetup. So sure enough, the 4 of them have an offline meetup, and it turns out that not only is this girl who's all over him actually a girl, and a hot girl at that, the other 2 guys are also both girls, and all of them go to the same school and are around the same age because anime coincidences, right? What are the chances of like something like that actually happening? Like 4 people meeting on an MMO in the same guild, the only 4 people in that guild, and it turns out that they're all going to the same school in the same classes, and they're all fucking hot girls except the one guy. You can imagine how much of a harem this is, essentially. Actually, admittedly, like, it wasn't too harem-y. There was always like a ship, and then there was just like moments with the other 2 girls, but this was definitely focused on the relationship of Akko and Rusian, who are main male and female lead. So my initial thoughts on this were like, oh boy, here we go again. It's another MMO, one of the 2 most commonplace anime setups. And then it turned out that it was actually like the other most commonplace anime setup, that being like a guy gets goaded into a club for no reason with 3 girls.
Hey, take it easy. Take it easy. Defrag was a fantastic anime.
I'm not, like, I don't have a problem with that premise, admittedly. It's just, like, since Haruhi Suzumiya came out, that has just been one of the most commonly done anime premises. Some after-school club with a main character and a bunch of girls. The fact that this anime manages to take, like, 2 of the most common tropes in anime, the after-school thing and the MMO, and put them both together, I give it props for trying, at least. But yeah, on the other hand, I mean, most of it is honestly just like typical humor and not even really funny. Like, I didn't find most of this series funny. And when you're basically a comedy that's honestly not that funny, then you really don't have a heck of a lot going for you. It had some good concepts, but it kind of tackled them pretty poorly. Like, Akko is basically like so obsessed with this game world that she can't really come to terms with what's happening outside that world and like reality and stuff. She's kind of just like trapped in a way in this MMO, and she's very heavily reliant on other people to kind of get her through this. So it kind of reminded me of I don't know if you guys have seen Chunibyo.
Oh yeah.
But she kind of reminds me of the main character of Chunibyo in that she's kind of trapped in her own world. The problem is in Chunibyo, the main character attempts to kind of help her realize that she has to come to grips with reality, but also like at her own pace. Whereas this show, the main characters are all like, yeah, we're going to try and bring her back to reality because, you know, otherwise she's going to fail school and she's going to drop out and she's literally not going to be able to live. So we're going to try and save her. And then they go in and they try and they realize that she doesn't really want to be saved, that she's so stuck up in her own world that she's just happy living there. And at that point, they're basically like, okay, never mind. We're not going to try anymore. You can just keep doing that. And in fact, they end up like just kind of going to her side and joining in her little fantasies. And that actually frustrates me a lot. Probably just because I watched Chunibyo more recently. And going from that to this was a huge downgrade. Takai, what did you think of this one?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind with this show is how good it looks. Like, I will give it that much. This show, I really, really, really liked the art style. Bright color palette, and I think even in some places it was animated pretty well. But I think the biggest draw to it was the really good looking art style. I just liked it a lot. And it was consistent throughout the entire show. The story itself, it was not that good. I mean, it was a romance. Which is nice because it really did try. It did try to keep it just between Akko and Rusian, and and I can appreciate that, especially not keeping it that ambiguous, vague, fucking, you know, every girl's kind of trying to advance towards him, kind of thing. This one, really, the other two girls really helped him along and said, yeah, you can do it. We want we want you two to be together. So that's something I can appreciate, but still. I did laugh at some parts. I think that some parts were funny. At other times, I felt like it was going way too quickly. I was having trouble keeping up reading the subs, trying to get the jokes. Lots of visual humor, too. And I guess that's just kind of a cultural issue, I suppose. But at times, I did find it funny. I liked Akko's character design. But the only problem is that when I think of a girl like this, a shut-in, someone who doesn't like to talk to people, someone who's introverted, I think of Watamote. You know, I think of God damn, what is her name? Tomoko.
Yeah.
Anyone see Watamote?
No, but I know about it.
Not actually. I know of it.
Okay, well, you definitely need to watch it. Super cringy, dark humor, but I absolutely loved it to death. And Tomoko has got dark circles under her eyes. She's got unkempt hair. I suppose Akko does too, but hers looks, it really looks attractive more than anything. You know, and Tomoko is like, got a slouch and she's flat chested, unlike Akko, who's got like painted nails, and lipstick, and
for someone who's like such a gaming shut-in, she's like way too cute for someone who has never talked to someone in her life. There's no way, man.
Yeah, so that's kind of one thing that kind of rubbed me like the wrong way. Like, I feel like if this was a girl like Tomoko, I think I would have liked the show even more. Not to say that I didn't like Akko. I think Akko was super duper adorably cute. But yeah, I think the show was okay. I gave it a 6. That's about as high I can give it. It was okay. It's funny in some places, and the art looked good, but the plot wasn't that terrific. Some episodes came off boring, and I just don't think it was just. I don't really think it's that solid of a concept.
Yeah,
it just has a story.
I think I was probably a little harsher. I can be quite harsh when it comes to comedies like these, and like there were certainly moments where I got a chuckle, where I got a giggle, but ultimately, like, shows that were just both cliche in characters and concept, in that a lot of the characters were fairly like one note, honestly. The main character occasionally broke conventions from your typical main character, but most of the time just fell into them. The other two girls in the club who weren't Akko were mostly just forgettable archetypes. You had your tsundere and you had your president, who seemed to know a little more than she should and whatnot. So most of the characters were kind of unlikable for me and kind of underwhelming. So I think I only gave the show like a 2 or a 3 because I can be a harsh critic when it comes to things like this. But
damn, cool, confirmed asshole.
I mean, I use the full 10 scale, alright? When there's something I don't like, I'm not afraid to give it that 1. But there was enough enjoyable moments.
Yeah, I actually thought the other two girls were fairly interesting. I mean, obviously there was the tsundere, but I guess the one I liked more than the Twin Tails one was the president, because a lot of the comedy came from her and her being rich and whatnot. I thought it was kind of funny of her abusing her riches to get all the expensive, real world money in-game items and whatnot.
That was a realistic touch on like a concept that comes up a lot. Buying in-game premiums and the advantages and shit. I thought that was kind of fun too, I guess.
Yeah,
I'll give you that one.
And I think the only other thing that I can think of was the twist that the teacher, conveniently, the teacher was Neko Hime.
Yes.
So, and it almost makes me think, like, man, I feel like there should be like a totally alternate story to this where him and the teacher fall in love. That would be dope, but that's just me.
I think that's breaking a few rules as well, admittedly, but yeah, I'd be okay with that. I'm actually a little disappointed that they didn't give more time to the pink-haired girl. She was the one character I was kind of into, admittedly.
She was a smart ass.
Right?
Lux,
Yeah.
did you see the show?
I did not. I always watch the big shows, most popular shows of each season, but I consciously made a decision to avoid this because I knew I just wasn't going to like it. And cool, I'm glad you kind of mentioned that it wasn't very funny, because what really made me avoid it is that after like episode 4 or 5, someone on our anime, the anime subreddit, they posted a scene and they said, "Oh, this is the funniest scene from Netoge so far," and it's like the main character walks in on Akko while she's changing, and
I know where this is going.
yeah, and then they're both like, "Oh my god, what?" So he gives Akko some time to get changed and everything, and then she lets him in again, and then this time she's completely naked, and she's like, "Please be gentle with me," and he just slams the door on her, and I'm like,
I actually
okay.
think that was one of the funniest parts of the series, to be fair.
Yeah, well,
I mean, that's both a compliment to that scene and an insult to the rest of the series, but I thought that was pretty funny.
Well, that's the thing. I thought that was like kind of funny, but if that's the funniest it can be, then I'm like, no, thank you. Plus, I don't like these beta male characters. If that's like what he was, I mean, it's just not satisfying to get all this fan service and then have the main character respond with
Yeah, he kind of was.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I mean, he wasn't an Issei or anything.
Mm-hmm. 'Cause that's
from DxD. If anyone knows that.
Yeah, but that's like what turned me off with Dagashi Kashi in the winter season. So I didn't want to fall for that same trap again.
That's fair.
That's it.
Yeah. And you said who was the studio that did this anime?
Project Number 9.
Yeah.
Who's relatively new.
Yep.
Yeah. Project Number 9. Yeah, I like it. I'm kind of hoping it looks like they've done things like Rokubu and what else here? Girls Beyond the Girls Beyond the Wasteland and all these shows? Wow, okay.
That was a collab.
They haven't done that many so far. I actually hope they do more in this kind of style. Obviously a lot of series, or studios rather, have their own style. Kind of like the people who did Season 2 of Mach and Key and a few other ones. But regardless, I hope this is kind of like the style they found for themselves, because I would really enjoy seeing other anime in this art style, because again, I think that was the strongest point of the season, is that everything looked really, really good.
Yeah,
it is nice to see new studios do stuff.
Yeah, I want to see more from them. On the other hand, like I was okay with the art style. I kind of want them to find their own style of storytelling or style of like anime genre, though, because I think that a lot of these anime studios kind of have that style set out for them, whereas one of the problems with this anime is that it was something you've seen before. There wasn't a heck of a lot original about it. It was mostly just cliche, and so I kind of want to see them, trying to find something new. Even if it's something bad, I want them to try something different when they're first starting it, rather than trying what's been done 1,000 times before when they're a new studio trying to break in. Because it's hard to get a dedicated fan base when you're first breaking in, and so putting out a show that is like really safe and really something that a lot of people don't want to watch again is kind of a hard way to get that dedicated fan base. So I kind of want to see them try and find their own way of telling a story, per se, if you understand what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we'll go on from Netoge to Sakamoto, or Haven't You Heard I'm Sakamoto, which is the full title, Studio Dean's next adventure.
The saviors of anime.
Haha.
They're back.
Alright, who had Sakamoto again?
Yeah, I did. So yeah, this is Haven't You Heard I'm Sakamoto by Studio Dean, that was licensed by Sentai Filmworks.
Woo!
So it follows a student just called Sakamoto. We don't know his full name. And he is pretty much perfection. He's sophisticated, suave, and sexy, and pretty much everything that you can think when you think of the word perfection. He can do anything with ease, and everybody loves him for it. However, some people hate him for it and try to challenge him or try to make him look stupid or like an idiot or something to that effect. So, and this story basically just follows Sakamoto's adventures in high school, and everything is just absolutely insane. However, Sakamoto, as always, keeps a cool head and is cooler, coolest, just like the.
We knew someone would do that.
Yeah, just like the opening. So, first off, I personally really enjoyed this series. It was fully adaptated. I think that's a really important aspect to tell people who have not watched the show. It fully adaptated the manga, so and that's something that is very rare in anime adaptations, or rather manga adaptations. So it feels, kind of refreshing to know this was the whole story. However, I believe there is an OVA coming out. I think so. I think that's what I heard. It's
the 13th episode. It didn't air because of the earthquakes earlier in the season.
Okay. Well, regardless, it does fully adaptate the manga, so that's really something nice. What I thought of the show, it was really funny. There was it takes a while to get used to the comedy. It kind of has that old 80s, 90s, probably more 80s, cliche kind of pompadour, delinquents, kind of like delinquent type comedy at first, because really the series kind of focuses more on on the side characters rather than Sakamoto. It kind of follows these side characters that engage with Sakamoto rather than Sakamoto himself, which is, in my opinion, an interesting take on it. But I thought everything was really funny. I thought there was a number of things that were really, really clever, actually. And at the very end, it really, really surprised me to understand what the series was all about, and it made me look at, I can't look at Sakamoto the same way again after understanding what the anime was really all about. It was Studio Dean, and I actually like their work. There are some people that really dislike their work, but I thought the show was, it looked decent enough, and it was animated well enough, but I think it could have been better.
Yeah.
But I think they still did a really good job, and I enjoyed the hell out of this one. So, Lux, what did you think?
Yeah, I also really liked Sakamoto Desuga. Sakamoto, it's basically the One Punch Man of slice of life, because everything he does is just phenomenal. He's gonna whatever it is, he's just gonna, everything's gonna work out in Sakamoto's favor. But what's really endearing about the show is that it has such a good heart. Like, Sakamoto is just the nicest guy in actuality. Like, one of the delinquents will, challenge him to a duel for whatever reason, and then they'll lose, and then they'll be kind of disappointed, they'll feel defeated, but then they'll notice something that Sakamoto did, and they'll be like, oh my god, that's what he was going for. It's
he taught them a lesson.
Yeah, it's all about...
Yeah, it's very clever.
Yeah, it's all about improving these kids' lives and making them have, the best high school year ever, which really that's basically what happens. It's really great.
Yep. All right, I'll sum up my thoughts in a quick little... Hang on.
Uh-oh.
Thank you, Sakamoto, for saving the anime industry from all of these cliched, ecchi, same old humors. Thank you for bringing a different swagger to the anime, the humor of anime that has kind of been lacking for me lately. I love the shit out of Sakamoto. I went into this show with a lot of hype. On one hand, I knew what to expect. I knew that this show was something you watch for the laughs, and that is basically it. And on one hand, on the surface, that is pretty much all the show is. it kind of reminds me of Daily Lives of High School Boys, in that there's no real like plot until like the very end of it. It basically is just a bunch of short stories that are kind of funny that revolve around Sakamoto. On the other hand, there are a couple of like really subtle things going on in the background. The first being, like, as you mentioned, Lux, it is definitely about the humor, but at the same time, it's also Sakamoto giving all of these students the best high school years that they could possibly have, and by the end of it, they're quite emotional to see him go because of that, because he has been such a big part of what made high school enjoyable for them.
The ending
and I
is
really
so
like that.
beautiful. Great ending.
Mm. And, like, the other thing is, there's this concept going on the internet. I don't know if you guys have heard this, but there's a theory, spoiler alert, that Sakamoto is actually dying by the end of the anime, and that there's a lot of like really clever evidence throughout the anime to support that theory.
I can get behind that.
Yeah, that's why I said that I could, after the ending, I could never look at Sakamoto the same way again.
And that's the fact that they don't specifically like even go into that, but there are enough hints to create a theory by itself without the anime ever like mentioning such a theory. It actually really impressed me, and it just kind of gave me a whole new light on the series. And I definitely appreciate series that have an ending that can make me look at the entire series that I just watched over again in a completely different way. It's part of the reason why Shinseki Gori is one of my favorite anime of all time. So I really appreciate when a series is able to do that. This was definitely the funniest anime of the season, and honestly, that's kind of all I wanted from it, and it definitely delivered. It was not a letdown on that front. I found myself howling with laughter like many a times.
Yeah, I did my best to rationalize that people were lying. I'm like, no, these guys are lying. Sakamoto can't be dying. No way. But I just thought and thought and thought. I'm like, oh, shit. It's true, especially because a lot of people pointed to the very last chapter cover for the manga. And I actually didn't know, by the way, until I finished the series that it adapted the whole thing. And I didn't know that the manga was so short. It's only like 4 or 5 volumes. But yeah, I do genuinely believe that he was dying, and I do absolutely hate to admit it, but I'm just like, man, that just it just really hits me. It hits me right here, man.
It makes that ending scene that much more emotional.
Yeah.
When you think about it, him like not moving or not leaving schools, but rather him going off because he's dying, it just makes it that much harder to take when you like see that little scene where he has the pie in the face, but you can kind of tell he's crying underneath that. And again, it's not because he's leaving school, but rather because this is probably his last year in school. And that hits me pretty hard in the feels as well. We could definitely go into like why we think it's about Sakamoto dying, admittedly, but there's like 9 or 10 good pieces of evidence that I've kind of read online that I could definitely like nod my head at. So if it is something that you're like looking for, I would definitely say Google that, because there's some good evidence for that. I think the show ends at a good time as well, admittedly, because like one of the things about humors that have like one style of humor and stick to it is that eventually that style tends to wear out a little bit and the jokes kind of start to lose their touch. And I think that probably would have happened to Sakamoto if it was a second cour. I think the show ending at 12 episodes was kind of right where it needed to be, because I think it was at the point where the jokes were still funny, but probably would have started to lose their humor a little bit had it dragged on anymore.
Yeah. I mean, any more chapters than that, or any more episodes than that, it would have almost been adapting like a chapter an episode.
Yeah.
Because there was only 36 chapters for the manga, and, there's only, if you say 24, 25 episodes, then, yeah, that would have been just horrible. So, yeah, 12, 13 episodes was the perfect amount. And let's not forget the music. Jazz, baby.
The opening,
the series so well.
The opening is awesome. I love how it's this
really
the
ending for that matter.
I really love how the opening is just this really big, over the top anthem.
And the whole thing revolves around Sakamoto too. You don't see any other characters in that opening. It's just Sakamoto doing different Sakamoto things.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and actually, I heard that one of the keys to the death theory is that is the opening itself. Actually,
really,
the lyrics. That's what I read. I believe on Reddit or my anime list or something or other. I did read it somewhere.
I think it was mentioning really the lyrics of like, you remember in episode like 7 or 8 or something when he goes to that mixer and he sings that song in German.
Yep.
I think I read a theory about like those lyrics being about a kid who's dying and his father and something, and how his father wants to like take his kid's place and die or something. I think that was actually the theory you might have heard.
So yeah, this yes, that's another one actually. I read that one as well, but I did read that the opening apparently is another hint. I guess it's some people somewhere on the internet pointed out certain lines in the song that help support that. But it just goes to show that Sakamoto really had an underlying layer that nobody knew about until the very end. It just makes me think, wow, this is actually something I probably should give an even higher score for.
Yeah. What did you end up giving it?
I think an 8. I think.
All right.
Yeah, I guess maybe because some of the comedy wasn't for me. There were some things I was laughing my ass off. Other times it made me chuckle. Other times I was just kind of sitting there. So like, especially for like the mom episodes.
Yeah.
Kind of got sick of that
Psycho
shit.
mom.
She was a little cringy. She was those were the comedy aspects I didn't particularly care for the rest of it.
But for Sakamoto, I'd give it a watch it. Go see it.
Yeah. If you just want a comedy, Sakamoto is probably the best of this season, and will probably be one of the best of this year by the time we get through these last 2 seasons. I would definitely give the recommendation of try it as well, or watch it. I think I gave it a 7 out of 10, but like a good 7 out of 10, because it was exactly what I wanted. And I think I appreciate that you compared it as the One Punch Man of Slice of Life Lux. For me, it's basically like One Punch Man defeats all of his enemies by being more powerful than them, whereas Sakamoto defeats all of his enemies by just being cooler than them. I love that.
You are harsh with your scores. With what you were saying, I was expecting to hear a 9.
Yeah, I am quite harsh. Like 7 for me, 7 and above is like really good. So anything that gets a 7, I think highly of.
I kind of want to raise my score now based on what we've also, because I only gave it a 6, but at the same time I
damn
really, yeah, I'm not as big on slice of life, and I thought the show was kind of repetitive, but I think I'll give it a 7 just because I really appreciate what the show did.
Yeah.
Also, if none of this has sold you by now, he literally runs an evolutionary theory. Go watch it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I definitely.
Let's move on to the next one here. So we got 2 more to go. Moving from one comedy to the other, I think Sakamoto and Tanaka-kun were like the 2 comedies that were kind of competing against each other this season. So we're going to talk about Tanaka-kun now, or the full title Tanaka-kun is Always Listless by Silverlink Studios.
Sentai got them both.
You know,
all right, I'm gonna go take a nap, guys. I'll see you later.
I could intro Tanaka-kun, but I don't know. I guess Tanaka-kun is Always Listless is about Tanaka-kun, who is always listless. And but yeah, it's this super lazy high school kid named Tanaka, and I mean by super lazy I mean like this motherfucker will hardly even walk half the time. He just has this awesome bro as his best friend who just enables the hell out of him, lets him do whatever he wants, and it's really quite amazing how lazy this kid is and like what little he will actually do. And it's just like the whole time I'm just like, you know, I get this, because it's like it's the simplest of things where like a student will block the window so that the breeze doesn't hit him, but then when he leaves he's just like, yeah, this is the best. It's just this really odd, satisfying sort of humor coming from someone who spent half their high school playing Pokemon Y.
Shit.
Yeah. It's really well made.
Pretty relatable.
Yeah, and it's really well made. Silverlink, it has this really kind of cozy light art style. It's very light on all the colors and animation. I mean, it's not super good looking or anything. It's not a big budget show, I don't think, but you know. And Tanaka-kun has this really soft. He's kind of like a wimpy looking kid, but he's great. I've only seen 4 episodes, but so far I really enjoyed it. It's not something, since I've only seen 4 episodes, I'm not really prioritizing this. It's like Flying Witch, where I'm just like, I just turn it on whenever I need it. And then I watch 1 episode and I'm like, yeah, that was great. And then I'm done with it for a week.
All right, I'm going to start off by saying that Ota, can we all agree that Ota is the best waifu of this year?
Yes.
That dude is the ultimate
Best girl.
bro. He's not even a girl and he's best girl, all right? That guy literally carries his best friend everywhere because his best friend is lazy. And he cooks and cleans. And I think at some point Tanaka even says that he'd make a great wife.
Yes.
Literally.
Yeah, I remember that.
But basically, this show is, I call it a lazy tutorial. It is very relatable for anyone who, like us, wants to sit around and watch anime or sit around and do like anything realistically that doesn't require a lot of effort. It's kind of somewhere between Flying Witch and Sakamoto in that it's kind of a cross of a slice of life and comedy. It's not as much slice of life as Flying Witch, but it's also not as much comedy as Sakamoto. It's just kind of in the middle there. I think the animation does what it's supposed to do. I don't think it's like well animated, like you said, Lux, but I also think that like the animation style fits the show's theme very well, and that it's kind of like this really light, relaxing, easy to look at show without like too much detail that you have to try and focus on. So it kind of does its job and does what it needs to.
Yeah.
A lot of people are saying that like it started off kind of slow, but then ended up picking up towards the end. I actually thought that it started off stronger. Other than the first episode, which is kind of slow, like episodes 2 to 6 or 7 were both fairly enjoyable from like a comedic standpoint, and also kind of enjoyable because I liked a lot of the characters that they introduced. Tanaka has some really well written characters, I found. Also really adorable characters. I don't know if anyone's into like that moe stuff, but there's I don't know what her name was. You know the short girl I'm talking about, right?
Let me look it up.
Yeah, I can't remember her name right now, but like her thing is like she wants to be lazy and listless like Tanaka, so she like makes him take her under her wing as kind of her master. And the entire like her entire character is that she always works hard at everything she does. So she looks at Tanaka and she's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna work hard at being lazy." And I'm sitting there like, you don't realize how contradictory that statement is, but also fabulous at the same time. And yeah, I like a lot of the characters. On the other hand, I think there are like hints of it being a harem, but also not like in a bad way. Honestly, like from the harem perspective, it kind of reminded me of Nisekoi in the way it's kind of this like cutesy harem. Has anyone seen Nisekoi?
No, but I just read the newest chapter, so I know how it ends.
Yeah, I think that went around.
I saw pictures, so I'm just like, shit, should I even keep buying the manga at this point?
We know which ship sails. Best ship.
Fuck.
But yeah, this kind of reminds me of Nisekoi, honestly. So like, if you like that kind of like light humor / little bit of harem, but also like cute romance harem, I think this will be kind of right up your alley, in all honesty.
I really like the humor of this. I'd actually probably like it more than Sakamoto, just because I really like that subtle humor that it does. It's really well timed and everything. Sometimes it's just best to not say anything at all, and the show just kind of knows that. So like a really weird gag will happen, and then they'll just walk away without saying anything. I love moments like that.
Oh yeah. Also, this show has more gay undertones than a Seth Rogen movie. I just want to put that out there.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Takai, did you see this one, or...
I actually didn't, because when I read the synopsis or saw a preview, however I first saw it, it just looked really boring, so I decided to skip it.
Yeah, it's not a show that sells you with its trailer. It's not a show that you will watch the trailer for and goes, explosions, a character grows up and has to fight against monsters, yada yada yada. It's not something that's going to sell you from its premise or its trailer. Honestly, I think I gave it a 4, but I think I want to bump it up to a 5, admittedly, because like now that I've had a bit of time to digest it, honestly, it's a really slow series, and at times it was hard to marathon. But like when you actually finish it, you kind of appreciate the series as a whole and the tone the series went for. What were your final thoughts on it, Lux?
I don't have many, but one thing is that I didn't really watch it immediately because I heard it wasn't as good as Sakamoto. So kind of going back to what you said, when it had a really slow start. But I don't know. So far, 4 episodes in, and I've really enjoyed these first 4 episodes.
Fair enough. All right. So, we're going to finish off with the other show that Trigger has given us this season, Space Patrol Luluco, which is not your typical
the show
anime.
That literally saves anime. They did it.
This is probably the closest we're going to get to Kill la Kill Season 2, guys. Just putting that out there. Savage.
So, yeah. So, Space Patrol Luluco, it's like a 12-episode show, but I guess it's got, 4 seasons in 12 episodes or something.
Yeah, waiting for Season 5, guys.
Yep.
Yeah, so, Space Patrol Luluco follows a middle school girl named Luluco, and her dad gets frozen, and I can't remember why. So he goes to, she goes to the Space Patrol head office to see Over Justice, or Captain Over Justice, or is he a captain, or is he I can't remember. Or Chief. Yeah, Chief.
No, he's just always at his desk.
Yeah, who is like a flaming statue, and because apparently her dad used to work for the Space Patrol. So, and pretty much the series, at least it starts off with her trying to save her father from being unfrozen, and unfortunately he gets chopped up while he's frozen, but he's still alive for some reason, and that's just the kind of series this is. Ridiculous, hilarious, just batshit crazy, something that you come to expect with a Trigger show. Mm-hmm. And Luluco joins the Space Patrol along with a fellow officer who she gets a crush on, whose name is Alpha Omega
Nova.
What the hell is his name? Yeah, Nova. Yeah, Nova. Yeah. So Nova-kun is what she calls her, or calls him. So, and that's basically the show, and they go on, these adventures, and since, it's about space, they visit all sorts of different planets, and a lot of them are past Trigger shows, like Kill la Kill, or, a reference to Kill la Kill, Little Witch Academia, one of them was from the Animation Expo, I believe, that yellow
the yellow
one.
World, yeah. That was a weird one.
Yeah, and it was, but so that's what this kind of show is all about. It's like they did their very best to make it as over the top as possible. It was a little bit cheaper, but again, I think Studio Trigger is one of those studios that knows exactly how to handle their budget and make something look good, even if it's a cheaper budget. Because Luluco did have some, movements where, it looked cheap or didn't have much animation to it, but it still looked really good. As for me, I really enjoyed the hell out of the show. I think I gave it like an 8 or something.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, I enjoyed the hell out of the show. It was hilarious, every single episode, and it was one of those shows that you really didn't have to, it really wasn't, it's not plot-based, it was just kind of comedy and fun, and Chief Over Justice was fucking hysterical, and Midori-chan, or is it Midori or Chidori? I always forget.
Midori. I think it's Midori, yeah.
Chidori is in Kiznaiver.
Among other things.
Oh, yeah, that's right, yeah. So yeah, Midori-chan is adorable, or is, sexy and adorable. I enjoyed the whole thing. So, Lux, what did you think?
Let me just say that in the spring season, you really haven't been living your life unless you started off your Friday mornings with da 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 da. It was the best. And yes. I also really enjoyed Luluco. Because I'm a big fan of all the Trigger shows and some of the Gainax shows as well. Because this is basically an amalgamation of everything that, what's his name? What's his fucking name? God damn it. Hiroyuki Imaishi, that's his name. About all the shows he's done, and he's done all of them. He's done Kill la Kill, he's done Panty and Stocking, he's done, I think he did Fooly Cooly, I don't know. But yeah, he's done all of them. But I love how at first it just seems like a more animated Inferno Cop, and it just seems like they're just making a bunch of callbacks to all their shows, but then halfway through they just start straight up memeing you. In one scene they just start playing Don't Lose Your Way, and I'm just like, oh my god.
That's not even a reference at that point.
Yeah.
It's just a flat out Kill la Kill exists, but no season 2 yet. Here you go.
Like, they fucking did it. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's a fun, wacky little show. It's 7 minutes long. It's just it's satisfying in that 7 minutes, because it's just so there's so much going on. It's just absolute chaos. but it's good. I like it.
So this was basically Studio Trigger doing 2 shows in one season, and one of them, this one, was just kind of like, yeah, we're just going to do something shorter and simple, and we'll make some fun with it. And, yeah, Space Patrol Luluco is kind of everything you'd want and expect in a Trigger show. Over the top, and I mean like over the top, ridiculous comedy. And like, honestly, if the description alone did not sell you on what kind of show it would be, I don't know what it would. Like, his name is literally Omega, what is it, Alpha Omega Nova?
Yeah.
That's
Alpha
a character's
Omega Nova.
name, guys. I love how ridiculous concept it took on, like, a high school girl's first crush. Like, they took that crush, and they could have done that, like, really simple, but they took that crush and turned it to an 11. Every time she saw him, she literally had, like, a view of herself spinning around in space, and all of that, like, silly stuff that you'd expect from Trigger. And by the end of it, the entire show was just about a high school girl's first crush, and how there was no depth to that crush. It was basically just the first high school crush that you have is just someone who's hot. You don't know him at all. He could be a fucking murderer for all you know, but he's hot, so you like him. And the show just kind of like took that concept and just made fun of it, and I really enjoyed that. I got a kick out of that.
Yeah, and I think another thing about that is that, they're just like, you know what, just let her be a kid, I think that was kind of like another thing, or another element to it, and I kind of liked it. It was just something that you don't really hear, because it's such a realistic statement, It's like, okay, sure, her crush is like super shallow, but who gives a shit? Just let her be a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. You gotta let someone make those mistakes before they actually kind of learn, the real meanings of love, if there is a meaning, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I kind of like that as well. I think the cheap comparison would be panty and stocking.
Yeah. But the show did actually have a purpose, though, believe it or not. Which this is a bit of a spoiler, so if you don't want to hear it, then just skip ahead. Is that Luluco is actually Trigger-chan?
Yeah, and I noticed that there was like this piece of promo art because it's Trigger's 5th anniversary, and so they made this banner and titled it Trigger Girls, and it was these 3 or 5 completely new characters that no one had seen before, but it turns out that one of them was actually Luluco at the very end, and no one knew.
So it makes you... there's 2 other girls, too. There's like a blonde with drills and another one with guns and like army gear and whatnot, so it makes you wonder if they're not going to release other shows like this to introduce their own kind of like studio girls, which is actually really cool. I don't know any other studio that has characters like that.
Yeah, I mean, this might be some really weird prequel to like the next full-length Imaishi show, because I think he said he's going to do one soon. But then again, they just announced that Little Witch Academia is the next Trigger show. So who knows?
This was almost just like a lead-in hype video for Little Witch Academia, which I appreciate.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I like that.
So excited. It's gonna be beautiful. I just hope it has the same budget as freaking Kiznaiver.
Hopefully, because Kiznaiver had terrible sales, so hopefully Trigger's okay.
It is Trigger, though. We're fine.
Yeah, that kind of scares me, so I'm hoping at least Luluco sells well.
Yeah. On one hand, I'd love to give it the recommendation of try it. I was pretty on board for the series, but it also wasn't like, it didn't blow me away. And on all honesty, part of that is just because it's a really short series. It's hard to blow me away when your episodes are 7 minutes long. But like, for what it was, I enjoyed it. And because the episodes were only 7 minutes long, I'm going to tell you to go watch it. Because if you don't have an hour and a half to kill on a really neat little animation show, then I don't know what else to tell you. It's really short. It's worth it for its time.
Yeah.
Considering that it's beaten out like other shows, like full-length shows, both in rating and popularity, that kind of says something for a short series.
Oh yeah. There was little wasted time. Every moment of this show was enjoyable. It was just really short, but it was like really fun for the entire span of the show.
Yeah.
I think it's because Trigger kind of knows how to handle their comedy.
Yeah.
And it was really good, God damn. I love Chief over Justice.
Justice!
Justice!
I love how they literally transform into guns.
Yeah, I loved that. Which she's got a Nendoroid coming out and a figure that can transform her into a gun as well.
I gotta get me one of those.
That's awesome.
In her regular form, she looks really weird, but when you transform her into a gun, it looks a lot better. But yeah, they just know how to tackle their comedy really well, and comedic timing, and lots of great voice acting all around. Just the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
So
Luluco has the most adorable voice. I love it.
Eh?
it's all about Midori-chan.
You're under arrest.
Or Luluco, actually.
But I didn't do anything. Okay, you're free to go.
Yeah. You're free to go! You're arrested. You're free to go. Oh,
that scene sold it for me.
It's great.
Yeah. Alright, so, yeah.
So let's we'll go ahead and wrap up our overall thoughts on the series, or the season. We'll go over each series one by one and kind of give our final rating as to whether you should watch it, try it, or drop it. So we'll do the shows we did yesterday, and then we'll do the shows we did today. So let me scroll up a sec just so I can... Oh yeah, so we started with Assassination Classroom. If you didn't watch it, you can just, say you didn't end up watching it.
I didn't watch it.
So, yeah.
Watch it.
Yeah, definitely watch it. What was next? Big Order.
Watch it!
Yes,
watch it. You have to see it.
Don't listen to Lux, drop it. Well, okay. Yeah, I'd still say drop it. But that's just me. Boku no Hero Academy.
Watch it.
Absolutely watch it.
That's an easy one. Watch it. Bungo Stray Dogs.
Try it.
Yeah, try it. I still say wait for the second season, and we'll see.
Try it. Flying Witch.
Watch it.
Watch it.
Watch it if you're into slice of life.
Yeah. Watch it if you don't need action. If you can watch something that's a little slower, then by all means.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't, that's totally understandable too.
Oh, Makoto-chan is so cute.
The Asterisk War Part 2.
No.
Yeah. No.
Drop it. Like it's hot.
Drop it, and then, don't ever look at it again. Just pretend it doesn't
Curb
exist.
stomp it.
100.
Fuck
Drop
no.
it.
Drop it.
Yeah. Drop it,
drop
and
it
then,
in the trash.
Yeah, straight down the fucking sewer pipe. Just...
But feel free to look up Nitro Plus's works for it. That's just terrific.
Joker game.
Yeah. I'd say try it, but then, drop it.
Personally, I didn't like it. On the other hand, I could see how it would appeal to a certain audience, and I could see some people enjoying it. So I would say try it. Just
because it's different.
Yeah. Kiznaiver.
Yeah, watch it.
Try it.
No, try it. Yeah.
I'm torn between try it and watch it. I'd probably go watch it more than anything. Actually, I appreciated it. Kabaneri of the Iron Fortress.
Didn't see it.
I'd say try it. Because it does.
Watch 2 episodes of it and then drop it.
I mean, it does have a big mainstream appeal, at least.
Yeah. But on the other hand, I mean, there are more mainstream appeal shows that you can watch that are just better at this. If you're interested in this show, just watch Seraph of the End instead, and you're fine. All right, Magi. I think I'm the only one who can do this, so watch it if you like Magi. That's pretty simple. And as far as if I'd recommend Magi in general, yeah, for sure.
Fair enough.
Mayoiga.
I'd drop it. Not
I
good.
want to drop it. Yeah, I haven't finished yet, and the fact that I already want to drop it means that I can only recommend drop it. So
yeah.
Don't be like me. Don't waste your time. Netoge.
Believe it or not, I think I might just say try it out to see if you like it.
That's fair. I could see how there's an audience for this. But I think there's just things that do the same thing but better. So I'm just gonna say drop it. In all honesty, Sakamoto.
Watch it.
Watch it.
Watch it. Easy.
Watch the hell out of it.
Even if it
Watch
is a
it
slice
and
of
then
life.
watch it again.
Yeah.
Tanaka-kun.
Watch it with the feels.
I'd say try Tanaka, because it's sleepy.
Yeah, try it. Wouldn't highly recommend it, but I'd recommend it. It's fun. And Space Patrol Luluco.
Watch it.
Watch it.
Watch it. Think we all agree on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Few other things. We're gonna give our top openings and our top endings from this season. Just pick one opening and one ending that you really liked, and tell me why.
God.
If you want, I can go first because there are a lot of good openings.
This is a great season for openings.
I have been torn between Kabaneri and Kiznaiver. I'm probably gonna say Kiznaiver.
Yeah, I would say Kiznaiver
That's a
too.
good one.
Both from the song stand, like the song was really good by itself. It's really catchy. It's something that will stay in your head, partially because it's English and partially because, English songs are always fucking good in Japan. But not just the song, the actual like animation itself was both really simple.
Yeah.
There really wasn't like a much going on, but it was just enough to kind of be interesting. So I kind of appreciated that opening.
Yeah, it visually and sound wise, just terrific. I just loved it. It was the best of the season.
Yeah. Lux?
Big Order, because I really love the band. But I will also say one we didn't even get to talk about, ReZero, had a good opening.
Yeah, that's fair.
It did, yeah.
As far as endings go, it takes a while for me to stick around for an ending. It kind of has to like hit me right away. But one that kind of did was actually Space Patrol Luluco's ending, which
yeah.
mostly just because like I recognized the voice right away. She was the same girl who sung Yurikuma Arashi's opening from last year, and that opening has like quietly snuck up on me as like one of the most subtle, catchy yet kind of annoying openings of all time. And this was kind of right in that vein. She has a really cool voice. It's kind of this like subtle, seductive type thing, and I think Trigger used that very well in this ending. So it's one that I never skipped. I always stuck around for Luluco's ending.
I would either say Bungo Stray Dogs or actually probably Kiznaiver again.
Yeah, Kiznaiver is good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really, really, really loved the song from Bungo Stray Dogs.
Two shows that, again, we didn't talk about. JoJo, but then again, it has a Western song as usual. But again, ReZero, awesome ending.
Fair. All right.
Flying Witch had a nice ending too.
Yeah. All right, guys.
Just one.
Yeah, go for
it. Please, by all means, avoid Netoge's opening. Jesus Christ,
Yeah.
that is just an absolutely horrible song.
Oh
I
God.
skipped
I usually don't mind songs like that. It really doesn't bother me, especially like, for example, the opening the opening to My Little Sister Can't Be This Cute, Oreimo.
Yeah.
By Claris. Wonderful song. Claris is a great band.
Yeah.
But this one was just absolutely horrible. I don't know who it was by, but Jesus Christ, avoid it at all costs.
Yeah. I don't want to pick a worse opening, to be fair, but if I did, Netoge
okay.
would probably be pretty
to,
easy.
Throw that out there once.
All right. So just to wrap this podcast up, we're all going to go ahead and pick what we would say our top 5 shows of the season are, just so we can give you some final recommendations, rank them in order. Again, I'll go first since I've probably already given this a little bit of thought. So I would probably, again, I'm not going to rank ReZero because it hasn't finished yet. So just based on things that finished, I would say Assassination Classroom first, Boku no Hero Academy second, Sakamoto third, Flying Witch 4, and probably Kiznaiver 5. Shout out to Magi and Space Patrol Luluco, though. They were pretty close as well.
Damn, you got me on the spot here.
Yeah, I kind of do, don't I?
Yeah, bastard.
I can go.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Well, even based on just this one core, the first season, ReZero and JoJo, top 2, they were extremely solid. And that has nothing to do with the current season, like how they're doing right now. Even in the spring season, I thought those were the best. Number 3, Boku no Hero, awesome. Number 4, which is actually higher rated than Boku no Hero because I'm weird like that, Kiznaiver. I really like that. And number 5 is my honorable mention, which is, of course, Big Order. Most amazing show ever.
God, I hope you get a tattoo for that show. For me, I'd say number 5 is Assassination Classroom. I think that show needs its dues. I think it's just a good show, especially with Koro Sensei. God, if I had extra slots on my anime list, I'd put him in my favorite characters of all time. Let's see. Probably, maybe Kiznaiver number 4, Sakamoto number 3, Flying Witch number 2, and then then My Hero Academia as number 1. I could replace number 4 with Bungo Stray Dogs instead, but yeah. So that'd be mine. But anime of the season for me was My Hero Academia.
It's fair.
Yeah, I was pretty close to putting that. I struggled back and forth with Assassination Classroom and Boku no Hero Academy, but yeah, we all have fairly similar tastes from the sounds of it too, which is nice.
Yeah.
So that wraps it up for this anime podcast, guys. I'd like to thank both of my guests for joining me again. If you want to find my friend Mozilla Fennekin on Twitter and on my anime list, where can the nice people at home find you?
I'm just Mozilla Fennekin. Nothing special about that. No underscores or anything. I'm also on Reddit with Mozilla_Fennekin.
All right.
So much for not having no underscores.
Yeah. I know, right?
Mozilla Fennekin was taken.
Maybe. I
Takai,
forgot.
where can the people...
Yeah, you can...
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, you can find me, specifically, I would say the most important one is on YouTube, which is just my name, which is Takai. It's a little bit difficult to find, just kind of look for it using the channel refined search on YouTube, but you'll see the avatar. I'll have I do Toonami discussions, and I'm starting to do reviews and whatnot. So for anime, so you can find me there. You can also catch me on my anime list, which my name is Todd, and then underscore, just the underscore symbol, not word underscore. So yeah, just Todd underscore. Yeah, and that's where you can find me.
I definitely say check out some of Takai's videos. He's got some really neat lists there. I've seen a couple of them myself. As for myself, because this podcast will be on my channel, it shouldn't be too hard to find my YouTube channel. You can find me on Twitter at Coolidger Gaming, all one word, or on my anime list as just Coolidger. I'll leave a link to all of our places that you can find us in the description below. And yeah, that about does it for us. If you have not seen part 1 yet, be sure to go check that out as well. That's also on my channel. Thank you for listening. Thank you for joining us. And until next season, see you guys next time.
Good
Later.
day.